with another edition of the Spurs Sound Off. And I know I promised to do a little bit more on the new players or young players coming in. And so I'm going to give it a shot now that we're on this international break. We are we are somewhat licking our wounds from the Ipswich game. I also have a video on that as well. I have a lot of editing to do, but here's the deal. They're all my thoughts. And so when I decide to post them to my YouTube channel, I'm going to do that. The effort here is to have contents in quick succession, which is going to cover a certain area. And so I tried my best to cover the defense, but I think I did it in a disjointed way. And so I get to realize that in speaking to the fans, I'm not speaking to myself. In this instance, I'm speaking to the fans. And it's a little disheartening in a sense because I think the lesser known you are, that society for you, is the less people add value to what you're saying. And so there's this notion that if you don't believe in everything that's happening, then you're a hater, you don't like the manager, you don't know what you're talking about, but yet the facts are right there in front of you. As every Spurs fan will know, we are inconsistent. And with that inconsistency, it doesn't just happen and come out of the air because we want to be inconsistent or we just develop inconsistency, pardon me, as a club. I don't think so. I think every team, every manager that has come into the club, especially if we want to just go to the recent history and we start with Pochettino, there are things that we could have gotten from players. There are instances where we didn't get the buys right, we didn't get the sell right, and especially the fact that we don't have much returns on our sale for the greater part. That's always a bad thing. And apart from Bale and Modric and Kane, we really haven't had any player that really garner much in terms of bringing back money into the kitty. So we deal with that kind of thing, that we're poor sellers, and that's because we don't have the talent to put on the market. Based on the players that we buy poorly, we're going to sell poorly as well. And so we have that kind of disease in the club. And I think that is what breeds the inconsistency. When you don't have the right caliber of player to do what you want, for any manager that is. And so we end up with inconsistency. Now, I am one of those guys who keep asking, what does the back end the manager means? And there are varying ways to explain that. I think the last three managers were backed financially. Where did that finance go? For the players that come in, it's a different story. Each manager had some measure of success, and once it starts falling apart, then the conversation goes back to, we never backed the manager. And we throw that out there, and then you want to have a definition of what backing the manager means. And so without getting into any specific scenario, we can fast forward to this manager. And the question is, because it came up in a long post from Chris Cowlin, and I show my disgust for it. I told him how I feel. I feel like he went back to look. As long as the manager is being backed, means he's winning. And if the manager is losing, then somehow we need to back the manager. Now, I want to interpret that coming from Chris as being okay, so the manager got what he wanted in the window, but now we need to back him as fans. I didn't get that. Even if you sprinkle, the history of the club and the players that we have and the need to back the manager, right? And I'm saying that, okay, that's all good and well. Speak to me, talk to me, and tell me that you're saying fans need to get behind the manager. Don't just throw, oh, we need to back the manager because he's the manager without, constructive criticism, which is what I think I offered in the discourse of how we want to talk about backing the manager. I'm here to back the manager. I do back the manager as a fan. But when I look at the pieces and I see, hey, am I backing the manager? Know that the manager has been backed by the board. We have to draw the distinction. And so until somebody start break that down for me, player by player, and I can tell you right off the bat that I am not going to buy the revisionist history of why you think the manager was not being backed. The manager said he was being backed, whether or not he brought in young players, get players out, do whatever he needs to do to hold on to other players he thinks fits his system. The fact of the matter is that the manager himself, from his own words, said that I have been backed. So here comes the second part of it. Are you telling me now that since the manager and the team is struggling, which is real, is that we need to back the manager as fans? You have to be explicit to say that, as explicit as I can be, that I think the manager was backed in the window. Whether or not you agree with the players that you want, you have to accept that these are the players that are here that the manager wanted, and he got it. He said it. He said it, and it has nothing to do with Daniel Levy foisting any player on him. He said he doesn't roll that way, and I have to believe him. And so when we're talking now in this present time, based on the results that are coming in, are we saying that because we're being critical of the manager, we're not backing the manager? Are we saying that we're supposed to accept losing 4 games out of 10 and we don't get disgruntled because the team is supposed to be advancing in its preparation for being better and also be consistent? And there's a lack of consistency, and it comes from the manager's system. It comes from the players they put in the system. It comes from this lack of tactical nous, and that is what breeds inconsistency. If you're not putting the players in situation where they're going to perform, it is on the manager. You can't play a system and ask players to play a system that does not fit the player. You lose to say, oh, the players are not good enough, go out and get somebody else. No, the manager gets the player he said he wants for his system. And therefore, if that's what he wants for his system and he's playing a system that is not consistent, then that's the manager's fault. How do I now, as a fan, assess a player? How do I, as a former player, assess a player? How do I, as a former coach, assess a player when he's out of position? When he's not playing at his strongest point? How do I assess him? I can't. And so I can look at it and say, you're asking a right fullback to play at left back, something that he's learning, and he's going to make a mistake, and that mistake cost you the game because your preparation was bad. Right? You don't have the proper personnel in place, and you have injuries and stuff like that, and you were not prepared for it, so you're trying to just fill the void. And therefore, you don't have a consensus in my opinion, of who is going to cover you. Because when you look at the left back position, we don't have anybody to cover the left back per se, who is a professional left back, because you decided that Reggie was not good enough for you. And Udogie is tripping over himself, and there's nobody to technically replace him, in a way that you're going to get effective play from the left back position. Para needs a change, and the better player to be there, in my opinion, would have been Spence. But Spence is busy over there covering for the left back position. So the manager is making moves and doing things that does not put the team and the players in their best position. So how do you want me to back him? How do you want me to back him when you play a high line and you have Van de Ven, in my opinion, who is the eye line? And then when Van de Ven is missing, you continue to play that eye line with a slow-footed Dragusin, a slow-footed Davis, a high inverted fullbacks, and you leave your two central defender vulnerable to the counterattack. How do I support you when I blatantly see that all of that there is wrong? And you're asking me to back the manager or complain that I am not backing the manager. I am one of many thousands. Of course, I reside in the United States, and all across the United States and the world, Spurs have a very strong base. I didn't know much people supporting Spurs when I was in Jamaica. I think I was the only one that I know. I never know a Spurs fan in Jamaica. But since I come to the US, I've actually met Spurs fan on the road, online, and I know that the base is strong even in the United States. And so when you're throwing things out there and said, "Oh, we need to back the manager," are we talking about the 63,000 inside the stand, or are we talking about the global fan base that Spurs have? Because if you're talking about the 63,000, they're showing up. They are going to show up. Premium tickets. And so when I get up at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, whatever time, to watch my Spurs play, I want to see good football. And that's not it. What I'm seeing now, that's not it. And I know what it is. I understand what it is. Of course, you're going to struggle in some areas, but you can't consistently pull the wool over my eyes and tell me something else. Stop pissing on my head and telling me that it's raining, because I'm telling you that you cannot have a defense, right, that you want to turn into an offensive machine to facilitate the type of offense you play, not in the Premier League at this level. And leave your defense so vulnerable to any and every team that can spring a counterattack. You are going to lose. And you continue to do it and say, that is who we are, mate. And so I can't accept that. So don't tell me to back the manager and be so critical of the manager. If I was a shooting off the breeze, this is what I said. And I've said it more than on one occasion. I look at the game and see, what did we do to win the game, right? What did we do when we win the game? And are we going to transfer all of that good stuff now that we have, supposedly would have cut out most of the things that are ailing us, right? And take it to the next game. And we haven't done that. So hence the inconsistency of playing. The inconsistency leads to losing to teams like Ipswich, who is organized and play behind the ball. And you're asking me, right, to apologize to you when we win a few games. But if you look at the games, right, the way we lost to Ipswich, the way we lost to Brighton, the way we lost to Newcastle, those are the problems that we have. And they never went away when we were winning. So let's look at things in context. Let's look at how we win. Look at all the errors. Look at all the mistakes that we made, and we got let off the hook, and we'll walk away with a win, and people out there yelling and screaming and said, Ange Ball has arrived. Give me a break. Give me a break. Or else I'm just going to take it. Because this is absolutely, absolutely crap. When is it going to be that I have to play to the scoreboard one? I have to play to what the opposition is doing. I have to realize that even though it is the first thing in my nature, and I love the front foot football, said that 1,000 times, right? I love it. But when is it going to occur to the manager that today is not that day? This second half is not that half. This start is not that start. When are you going to be tactical, be pragmatic, without losing the essence of what you're trying to do? And the manager has not done that. So I judge him on a different curve. I'm not just talking about, hey, you're throwing the high line out there. You have a press that doesn't work. There's a reason why it doesn't work. Because when you break the press and the first pass is on top of your central defender, and you don't have your fullbacks to come in and solidify the outside, where is your center backs going to go? They're going to be the ones to go out there, go cover, because your dog is standing on the 18-yard box and they beat him with the press or the counter-attack. Same thing with Paro, right? Johnson arriving late in the box because he's holding his shorts for a young man. He's unfit. He's scoring some goals, but when you look at it, is that he's always a step away from his man. It is his job to come back and relieve the fullback of the winger. That's his job. And especially in a case where the fullback is not pressing up, it's his job to make sure that he keeps his fullback as free as possible. Same thing with the holding midfielder. It's his job to make sure that he's a magnet to the ball. I'm the first line of defense. I'm the first line of contact once it comes over. Not Romero, not Van der Ven, not Dragusin, right? When it's out on the wing, why do you have to go out there if you're a central back? Why do you have to go right? Why do you have to go left? Because the manager decided that he and his kamikaze way of playing offense is going to take his two fullback and put them up there. And before I lose my thought and lose my mind, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. The first sign of that something is wrong with that way of playing, right, is if your fullbacks are higher than your two attacking midfielder. Somebody who knows football, tell me why that is. I'm not even going to get into it. But paint that picture in your head that your fullbacks, right, your fullbacks are playing higher than your two attacking midfielders. Somebody answer me and tell me, how could that not be a disaster waiting to happen? And it's not like your two midfielders are coming back to form the nucleus of your defense. So while we penetrate the all the intricacies and the flow and how exciting it is to watch the front foot football, it is just as devastating to watch the crap that's going on at the back. And we're losing the battle. To watch the crap that's going on at the back. And we're losing the battle below our midfield. We're losing games below our midfield. How could you continue to make that happen time after time? I don't need no graphic to prove my point. The fact of the matter is that every game, even with these slow-footed players that we have, we are playing a high line, right? And we don't have the speed to get back. We're facing our own goal 9 out of 10 times. You tell me, somebody tell me how that is good football. So don't tell me about your win or the couple of wins that you have. Inside those wins, those same problem exist. And that is why when you get to the next team and you lose, you're going to lose because you have the same problem that you never correct from the game before, or whatever games that you win, and you get excited and you're asking me to apologize to you because I tell you that good win, have a good day. What happened to the issues that we have? What's going to happen is that those same issues are the same issues that are going to make you inconsistent, because the likes of Ipswich is going to beat you at home. Period. So somebody tell me, who knows a little bit more than I do. Anyway, I'm going to leave it right there. I'm going to deposit this thought on my channel. Hopefully, if you get a chance to watch it, you will like it, share it, and you can subscribe to the channel. I am the Rude Boy DJ Paul for another Sound Off. Spurs Sound Off. Come on, you Spurs.